right, so this game was a two-stone handicap game against Bernard B. Have you played him before?
Never. This was just I threw out a challenge and saw what happened.
Oh, okay. So this wasn't a Benkyo game or anything like that, right?
No, no.
Okay, cool. Um, I did see a lot of problems in your strategy this week, at least with the two games you sent me. I know
Yeah,
you said
yeah.
you've won a few of them, so I know it wasn't a week-long problem, but in this game and especially the next game, I saw a really big weakness. So let's take a look from the start.
Yeah.
So you're playing as black,
Yep.
and this was such a strange move to me.
Oh.
You've almost never played two high stones, right? I never see you do this. Usually you have a good balance. So I was very
Hmm.
surprised for you to play two
I
high
see. Yeah, yeah,
stones
yeah. Yeah.
already.
Yeah.
It was strange. But I think you're
Yeah.
just not used to this, right? You're used to more of this.
Right,
So I
right.
think this threw you off, and then you like thought you'd make a base, but remember you're high up on the board, so these stones don't make a base. These can still be cut very easily, or
So
undercut, I should
true.
say. So
Hmm.
with this group, when somebody plays like this and you have a high stone, your next move, this is the only move, right? If I checked your Encyclopedia just to make sure, but this is the only move. And it's because what it does is it helps you share the corner, right? If White's next best move is something like this, and then he either has the option to play this or come down, you can make a base regardless. And so now you see you have a solid group and White has a solid group. And so this is a fair or even result or exchange because you ended up taking half of White's corner, right? White had the first move here. So White does end up with Sente, but that's the point, right? You're supposed to just kind of take a little bit from him and then build yourself something secure. Does that make sense?
Totally. And you mean you're right. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I could like when I look at this move, it just seems like one, it's not a move you would normally do. I've never seen you like play
Yeah,
two high stones in a two
yeah,
space jump
yeah,
before.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
and then two, yeah, it just I know you haven't experienced this much. So yeah, just remember when you're approaching the 3/4 stone and they play outwards, then you go for the end. All right. So yeah, this was already an awkward position, and now you have inefficient spacing, right?
Yep,
This is a
yep.
three-stone wall with only a two-stone jump. We would much rather prefer this to be like over here, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So this is why you're in a bad position here. One, because you played an awkward stone, and two, you followed it up with this. I think maybe instead of just blocking this area that's too hard to take or inefficient to take, it would be best for you to just play something else, right? Something that would effectively work on a bigger side of the board. Because
Yeah.
these stones here, they're flexible, right? They're not going to die very easily. They have one, two, three, and you could argue, building a base here, four ways to get out and live and like have a good time, right? And so these
Hmm.
stones aren't going to be destroyed easy. So they're flexible. So you can just leave them alone and then play for something more important. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, there was I think I was nervous about the game because I just knew through the whole thing I wasn't playing at my best. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it happens. Sometimes, you're just playing and, I get it. There's different moods and different times. I think maybe this might have thrown you off right at the start, and then like it put
Yeah.
you in a weird mood for the game. Um, let's see. So yeah, it would have been better for you to just take a bigger point. Just don't
Yeah.
worry about
Yeah.
these stones. They're
Yeah.
not going to make a lot of points, but they're not going to get killed. So then we can move on to make a lot of points. Um, So the computer was saying some of these weren't the best moves, but I think they were fine. You made yourself a base, you took half of the corner. It's fine. But this was atrocity to me. This move is so slow and it only helps white, right? These are the what the thank you moves, right? Or the slow moves, right? This is too slow.
Okay.
Can
Well,
you
Michael,
see?
yeah, I thought about it, right? I think, okay, this is the rule of, I mean, you know, the rule that when you're touched, you should do something. I mean, I just thought I had to do something.
No, he didn't touch you. So you don't have to do anything, right? There's no pressure on these stones right now. So now you could come over here. This cut is beautiful because if he tries to come at you, right, like you'd be able to take the two stones or you'd be able to come out, right? And so now he's in lots and lots of danger over here. So
So the Kasumi is not, it does not have to be answered.
yes, that's right. This diagonal, you already have an answer, so you're fine. If this stone wasn't here and then he played something like this, then yes, I would definitely worry about these stones and like end up making a base, right? But in this instance, you weren't touched, and all you did was actually touch him, which then made him stronger, right? And so we see how this helped him. And
Yep.
to me, it hurts you, right? You're getting hit on the head of two stones.
Yep.
This isn't a lot of influence over here. And white
Mhm.
already has a fairly solid group. Yes, there's a weakness here, but it's for you, it was solid, right? Because you never attacked it directly like
Yep.
this.
Yep.
And so there's no points for you here. There's not a lot of points for you to get here. So building
Yep.
your wall bigger here doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Instead, if you played something like this, which was helping you build and attack this, this would be good,
Yeah.
right? This is a
Yeah.
two dual purpose move.
Yeah.
This move is only asking for a bigger wall, but it's helping white in the process. So to me, it's a very, very bad move. So this move was very slow. In slow moves, like I always tell you, is like hitting the pass button, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So already you're hurting bad. So you did play this next, which is a good move. This is the best move. This is a
Okay.
good move to set this up. Also, it's helping you build, so I think it's a good move. So he missed the opportunity here. You could have destroyed him here, because
Mhm.
now once he tries to protect this, you're already fully connected, right? This is
Mm.
going to be very
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so always remember that knight's moves are cuttable.
Yep.
And you should at least ponder them anytime they're around. When you have the broken dog face shape is when
Mm.
knight's moves
Mm.
are
Mm.
cuttable, and this is
Mm.
what we have here. So all in all, it's okay here. You did a pass here, but you're still okay for now. This was a little soft, as you know, this is open, so but it was fine. The only problem now is this is an empty triangle, but it does hurt your stone significantly.
Yeah.
Um, and this was a really, really bad move. Um, it's just once again, it's just extremely slow. I knew when I saw it, I was like, this doesn't look like the right timing for this right now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when I checked the computer, it was a negative 7 move, which is
Oh,
really, really bad move, right?
that's terrible. Yeah.
So yeah, he answered, so it was good for you, but he shouldn't have answered. He probably should have come out. And even if you take it, this does minimal damage to white because white's out now.
Yeah.
Do you see? So now he can start harassing this
Yep.
group. Like,
Yep.
he can start coming
Yeah.
over here.
Yep.
Um, and so this is very, very slow. And so instead, both me and the computer agree that this side is very important right now because
Yeah.
white has built like a thickness here, right? A wall.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
there's lots of territory on this side. And also, you're not on the fourth line here, right? So you're on the third
Yep.
line, which means that this side is more valuable than any other side of the board. And
Yep.
so white, even a long time ago, like even here, you could argue should have played something over here, right? Because if you get pressed down, white has built himself an empire, right?
Yep.
So yeah, so this was the most important side of the board. We should always try and remember that when there's no pressure or, nothing bothering us, right? Like even here right now, we should be looking for the biggest moves. And the biggest moves, the first class moves, they call it, is to play in a corner. And then the second class moves, the second best moves you can do is to enclose a corner, right? And so you have a corner that's not enclosed. This is very
Mhm.
important.
Yep.
If you want to go modern, you can go this way. If you want to go old school, you could go this way. Even this is acceptable to me, but to me, you can see that white has built
Yep.
something here. And so this is
Yeah.
actually the more important side than even this one.
Yeah.
Because now if you play something like this is as far as white gets to go. And you're
Yeah.
strong enough where you can actually invade here, right? Because you don't have to worry about this corner. So White probably should play more conservatively at some point, or just leave it alone, and then you can even keep going deeper, right? You can go deeper. So anyway, this was very important. So once again, this is your second slow move of the game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like I said, it's hit and pass again, which
Yeah.
this was a problem for this game. It was a lot of slow moves.
Yeah.
Too slow, slow. So he did answer you though, and so that's his mistake. Obviously we're trying to get you to a stronger level. So I have to tell you, if you were facing anybody, past like I don't know 8 or 7 Q, they would probably know that this is too slow and ignore it,
Yeah.
right? Um, but anyway, he ignored it. So you ended up getting an amazing result. This is fantastic now. Like, and he had to play another move. So like you're in the best shape of the game here now. You have a huge seal this way, a huge seal this way. You have influence throughout the whole board. I hope you felt good here. Like this should I hope like yeah, you're starting to understand how good this actually is. Did you feel
Yeah.
good at this
Yeah.
point?
Not really.
No? Okay. Well, we need to change that thinking because when you get a full seal like this and you have
Yeah.
potential on both sides, like
Yeah.
it's incredible.
It does
Incredible.
look good. Okay.
But just as you mentioned that you didn't realize how good this is, you didn't know how to use it because you played here. When to me, all your development is here, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
should care more about this outside than you should on this inside.
Yeah.
This inside is already stifled, right? Like it already has a C group that's probably going to live and a D group that's
Yeah.
probably going to live.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this corner is minuscule. And once white lives over here, everything that you had that was great on this side is gone.
Tears, tears. Yes, I see.
And so in both these games, you had really bad direction of play, which is what kills you in both games because you're just inviting him to destroy your best stuff, right? And so that's as you said, tears. So you really have to always kind of think about thickness in the big picture. This is thickness, and so it can develop lots of points this way and this way. This white group is thickness, right? Thickness is a strong group that doesn't have many defects. And
Yep.
so it can develop lots of points this way.
Mhm.
So in both cases, you have two groups of thickness, and both of them, I think you failed to do much with, right? So in this case, you need to break his thickness. And in this
Mhm.
case, you need to use your thickness.
Yes.
If you do not keep direction of play in mind at all times, then you're gonna struggle a lot. And I think at least, sometimes you do amazing and then sometimes you fall back, right? I
Yep.
remember maybe it's been a month, I don't know, or a couple of weeks, but I remember you had one week where you faced Terry and a bunch of people. Like we did 3 game reviews, and all of them you did like poor direction and play judgment, right? And all of them you got slaughtered. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of the same picture I'm seeing again. Sometimes you fall into these bad habits of forgetting to think about the board and a global scale.
Yeah.
Would you agree that, sometimes you just focus on the
Oh no, I
local?
mean totally. And I'm, it just, I guess so. I do know what it is. I mean, when I see the attachment, I
Mhm.
never think about honeying up because then
Mhm.
I'm just giving the person the corner. I mean, I totally understand what you're saying, but it just seems like, you know, my corner.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Why, why
Um,
would I give it up?
Jason is the same way. I think we've talked about this before, but when he has 9 stone handicap against me or 8 or 7, whatever, he just thinks everything's his territory, and he gets so upset when he loses just one thing, even if he got like the winning side, right? Like, let's say he lost this corner, but then got all the center, right? He would be
Yeah,
upset.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's that mindset that's gonna keep you from not growing, right? And so
right.
we need to change it. So yes, your stone was here first, but also remember when you have a fourth line stone, this is not your corner. At any
Yeah,
time, he can
yeah,
take the
yeah,
corner, right?
yeah,
And so this is when you play a high stone, it's not for territory, it's for influence.
yeah,
So we have to remember that. Um, but yeah, so this was too corner focused. You gotta remember that when you play stones, they affect every other stone on the board. Every stone you play has a power, right? It has a direction it wants to develop. It has a way that it wants to work with every other stone you've played. Now, whether you're aware of that or not, it's still happening, right? This is still going on, right?
right.
So you have to remind yourself and stay focused on that task. So in this case, you've built up so much of a strength and developable situation here. You need to focus on developing it, but instead you missed the mark and then it
Yeah,
got all destroyed. So
yeah, yeah,
if we take anything away from this game, and most likely the next game as well, um, try to remember what we talked about here, and think about it more often in your games. Even if you're gonna lose, if I see your stones are working better together, I'll be happy.
yeah,
But in this case, there was a huge disconnect on your stones working together, and
yeah,
you got pulverized for it big time.
yeah, yeah,
So if you remember our lecture 2 weeks ago, it was not this Monday, but last Monday. Um, we talked about how to use thickness, right?
yes,
So
yes.
once again, you have a thick group. Do you remember any of the thickness rules? There's 4 of them. Do you remember any of them?
I wrote them down.
Okay. Without looking at your
So,
notes, what do you remember, if anything? If
so
you
so
if
don't
you don't.
approach it too, don't approach it too closely, and
That's good.
don't
That's
use it to
that.
territory.
Yes. That's one of the most important ones.
I'm supposed to press the opponent toward it.
Yes. So there's two rules that you just brought up right now. One is don't approach thickness too closely, right? Whenever I tell you to play over here, it's not to play this close, right? I'm telling you to play here. And
Yeah,
this is because if you approach too closely, well, now he'll be able to start counterattacking you, right?
yeah.
So it's much better to play far away from thickness, but still you should play so that way you can limit what they can make. The
Hmm.
second thing is not to use thickness to make territory. How big is this territory?
Oh,
Right? I like that response. Okay, so when I look at this, this is only about 4 lines of territory. It's very small. You're
yeah.
not going to make a lot of points here. White should responsibly make a base here. And even
Hmm.
though you're going to be able to harass it, white should live. And so this is a big, sorry, excuse me, problem.
No.
So instead, if you were to come onto this side and attack it, even
Yeah,
though you won't make lots of points here, right? You're not going to make a lot of points here. But
yeah.
what you are effectively doing is creating a large amount of territory on this side.
I see.
So if white like was to say, leave it and you know, white, you should have a move over here, you don't, and so that's kind of a problem. But so let's just say white did something stupid, right? I don't know, like over here or something. Well, now you can start really harassing this group, right? You can start really putting pain on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
or even if you don't, like even if you like your first move really should be to build something over here, right? You can see this nice
Yeah.
big box. Um, but anyway, the point is that you don't use your territory thickness to make territory. This is too small.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, granted, I told you something different here, right? But the difference is this is like 7, 8, 9 lines of territory.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
difference between anything past 5, like or 6 and beyond. I'd say it's good to develop using thickness. But when it's less than 5 or 6, then it's very bad to use thickness to make territory. So instead, we should push our opponent towards them. Then we can start harassing them. And it's good for us, right?
Yeah.
It's good for you to make points on the other side.
Yeah.
Like this would be really good.
Yeah.
So you broke 2 of the rules of thickness in this game, and you missed the mark on direction of play, and you played lots of slow moves. So we really boiled down your loss pretty easily, like from just those basic
Yeah.
fundamentals alone.
Yeah.
There was some ugliness here. This was hard to see. This isn't a move I would normally come up with. But the idea is that if you have no weaknesses here, then
Hmm.
white is very weak here, and white is very weak here. And so white was doing something wrong by playing this. So for you, if you just played here, there's no cutting point, right?
Right. Right. Right.
And you can see how weak both sides are. That's what the computer recommended.
I see.
If I was playing in your game, I probably would have picked the same thing you did. So I don't blame you for getting this wrong. Like I said, this would be hard for even me to see. But this cutting point comes into play later, I think, in the computer's um,
But it's not,
variations.
there's not, is there a ladder now? I can't even read it, Michael.
Yeah, yeah, there's a ladder and it works for white.
But
So
it fails. Okay.
yeah, it works for white.
Okay.
So yeah, you're desperately trying to surround him,
Yeah.
but your thickness is now becoming weakness because it doesn't
Yes.
have two
Yes.
eyes. And
Yes.
so
Yes. Well, this is what I was worried about. And this was a terrible misread. Oh my God, I want to kill myself. Okay.
yeah, I figured it was a misread, because it is painful. So this all should die, right? This all dies here.
No, I think
Actually,
not.
it does live, but it's still very painful, I think, because you have so many
Totally.
weaknesses, and if I
Yeah.
remember, you crumble here.
That's
Yeah,
awful.
yep. So something that we do have to remember when we do attack with our thickness is that if it doesn't have 2 eyes, it still has a chance of becoming weak. So that's why in this variation, the first thing I did was play something over here,
Right.
right, to make
Right.
it
Right.
stronger. But
Right.
already just getting this one exchange made this area so much bigger. It's worth, you know, putting yourself in a little danger as long as you fix yourself immediately after.
Yeah.
But in this case, maybe you didn't notice or realize how in danger these were until it was too late. So, like around here.
Something like that.
Yeah. And so now it became too dangerous for you. But I would have played something like this, start making some eye shape,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like, you protect your cutting point, make some eye shape because it's starting to become hard for white as well, right? Like, this, you'd be fine. You'd be able to live here,
Right. Right.
right? No, it shouldn't have the problem of like being alive here. Um, but yeah, so that didn't happen, and you did live, which I feel like White should have had some opportunity to take your life, but it looks like you did a good job of yeah, counter attacking the monkey jump with this. This was a good move, and this was interesting. And then you were able to make life, so that was good for you. And you got Sante, so that was good for you. But now is the time where I think you needed to fix your mistakes here,
Yeah, yeah.
because at least you got a lot of thickness here, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And so at least you got something out of this. White got a good result, but black's okay. But instead, uh, you left these weaknesses, right? And so
Hmm.
this is weak, this is weak, this is weak, and so White just ended up double tarring his way out. So instead, you needed to probably defend yourself. Even now, you have a chance to defend yourself here. And
Yeah.
if he takes, you have him in a net, so you actually can kill him. So you're fine.
Oh, oh, I had no idea.
Yeah. So always remember, I always go through like a variation of moves. The first thing I look at is the ladder, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you played this, and you can see the ladder doesn't work, right? Now
Yep.
White's out. And so the ladder doesn't work. So the next thing I go down my list is, does the net work, right? And if the net works, good. If
Yeah.
it didn't work, then the next thing I do is check the knight's net move, the knight's move. And these are like the first things you learn in the Tetsuji book by James Davies. And
Yep.
I think he puts them specifically in this order because this is the best order to look through all these moves, right? These cutting Tetsujis. So we want to keep these in mind. But yeah, after this it's starting to become really hard, right? The
Yeah.
game's kind of
Yeah.
over for you if White can, keep
Yeah.
going like this.
Yeah.
So uh maybe I wouldn't say the game's over just yet. Well, White's already here and White's already here. And so it looks like it's very hard to make the center, and this is kind of like your last hope. I
Yeah.
think if you played something like this or somewhere around here,
Yeah.
and later we get to that move, yeah, like now's the time to do it. If you played on the competing Moyo lines, right, you can see that this is building Black's Moyo really big,
Yep. Yep.
and it's stifling White, right? And if you don't play here and White gets this move or this move, you can see that Black is now losing all the territory it could make here, right?
Yeah.
It can still make some, but this is sad compared to what it could be making, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So this was the time to play on the competing line to try and make as big a territory as possible. But that you did well, yeah, White got here first, and so that's why
Yeah.
it kind of limited you a lot. He could have kept limiting you, right? Like this would be
Yeah.
good for White.
Yeah.
Um, but he played over here. And yeah, I felt like this was already a lot to take in, so I kind of stopped
Yeah.
here looking
That's
here.
okay. I mean, yeah, I knew it wasn't a good game, although it was more horrible than
Yeah. So
I.
remember the most like yes, I can definitely tell you slow moves was a big part of you losing, right?
Yeah.
And yes, right off the bat, there was a Joseki that kind of put you behind a little here, right?
Yeah.
So you're already a little behind in the start, but that I wouldn't stress about too much. But do remember that White does have this option, so this is the
Yeah.
next move.
Yeah.
Even if we play something like this, you could also play here immediately, or you can, play a two space base or something.
Yeah, that
Um,
allows that approach allows the avalanche, which I have no idea about. So I never play that.
okay. But yeah, so if you play this high one and they play this, know that this is the only move, right?
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
the only recommended move, and it's very easy to see why because you're just taking some of the corner, right? Which is nice. So it'd go like this, and then White has an option of playing here or here. Your answer
Yeah.
is kind of the same either way. You can this one's much simpler to see, but you just make a base, right?
Yep.
So that was the first thing. Second thing, like I said, inefficient shape here. It's too
Yeah.
small, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we should focus on the bigger moves, right? Which is enclosing a corner. Your first priority is to play in the corners. Your second is to enclose and approach corners. The closing and approaching. Uh Your third, know that the Kasumi is not touching. So if you already have a base, then you're fine. You don't need to an extra move. Playing this actually helps white, right?
Yeah.
It's very slow for black and helps white.
I think I missed this part of the rule.
Okay, yeah. I don't think we've ever discussed the Kasumi, right? We always talk about the golden rule of attachment, right?
Right, right,
But we
right.
never actually talked about diagonal because it's not a part of the golden rule of attachment. So
Apparently.
that's why. And you
Yeah.
thought it, you said you thought it was, right? You thought that when he gets this close to you, you should respond, right?
Yep.
But in this
Yep.
case, since you're already safe, you just don't need to respond. You can play the
Yeah.
bigger moves again.
Yeah.
Remember, knight's moves are always cuttable. That's
Yep.
usually a fun one to remember because it's so devastating when you cut a knight's move. So devastating. This was fairly slow, but I'm not gonna bite your head off for this one. Just know that these end game moves should be saved for the end game.
Yeah.
And then of course he made a huge mistake, so that allowed you to get the best result possible in the game. So you were on your way to like getting a huge victory, but you did squander it, and this is the most important. And the last thing we'll recap is the idea of direction of play, right? We need to always keep in mind what our stones are doing, right? Like these stones are making this amazing development over here, right? We can see that if it went like this, you're amassing a large amount of points and a huge moyo in the center. Like this is beautiful. And it's just one simple decision, right? Like it's one
Right.
decision that
Right.
changes the whole game.
Yep.
That's how important direction of play is, and something we've gone over many, many times. So, and don't worry, I'll keep going over it. I'm hoping one day you'll start thinking on a global scale and everything will just click. But always, always keep in mind that every stone you have on the board projects a place that it wants to develop next. Every single stone you play from the very beginning of the game, these stones develop over here and here, right? Right?
Yep.
They want to develop the sides. They don't care about the center. They do not care about the corners. They
Yeah.
do not care about the corners. They care more about developing on the sides. So every single stone you play, like this one in particular, it wants to develop this way. At first, the very first move you want to do is to play on this side, right? But once you
Yep.
do, you've now created a wall that develops this way.
Yep.
So just really, really keep in mind that every single stone, same with these two stones, right? These two stones, they look a little goofy because they're not making a lot of territory, nor but they still develop influence, right? They're still developing influence this way, somewhat
Yep.
this way, right? And so every single stone you place does something, and you have to recognize what they do, and you'll become a much better player. If you don't think about this like this, then you'll just have these random games where, you had a good start and then you just soil it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So important to remember. I said the direction of play was the last thing to think about, but also remember your thickness rules because you did create thickness and then you broke the rules and you got messed up for it, right? And so remember that we want to break thickness, right? We don't
Yep.
want to play too closely, but we want
Yep.
to break thickness by, at least stifling it a little. And then when we have thickness, we want to push our opponents into that thickness
Yep.
and not make territory on this side, right? This isn't what the thickness is for. The thickness is not for making territory. The thickness is for harassing your opponent and then making territory on the other side.
Yeah.
That's the trick or the key to using these type of formations. Um, All right, I will leave it at that, and we will move on to the next game.
Okay.
Any thoughts or questions on that? Like,
Have I learned nothing?
don't worry, don't beat yourself up too hard, Marty. You have
Yeah.
to remember too, and this is something with my brain as well, right? Is sometimes you just have bad habits. And so when you're not thinking or if you're like confused, you rely on your old skills instead of your new ones, right? and this is what leads you to bad results, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to break those habits, but it takes a lot of time and effort to break bad habits. That's true for anything, right? Smoking, drinking, drugs, all that stuff. Takes a long time to break a bad habit because it's very easy and comfortable to sink into our old stuff. So, like in this case, I think like direction of play, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know about
Yeah.
slow
I
moves,
mean, yeah.
but you just played the comfortable move, right? Which is this is my corner, right? I'm gonna take my corner.
Yeah.
But you didn't consider like C, and you didn't consider how this was much bigger, right?
I mean, there's no chance if you put that problem up, and said what's the best move? There's no chance I'd get it wrong.
Oh yeah, like if I asked which side can you develop more, H or
Or
I, right?
what's
Like
the best move, right?
yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. All right. So let's look at this one. This one is, I think, the more painful game than the other one. Right?
Really?
Yeah, this game, like there was some reasons why, like
Oh,
I can
oh,
understand, but this
oh,
one is painful for me because you beat me at this level. You're on 5 stones against me right now, so
yeah.
it hurts that you're facing a 5Q and you can't beat him with 7.
But
But
he he's like rampaging through the Benkier League. He had,
yeah,
because he's just very determined. And yeah. So anyway, that's it. Okay. I'm ready
yeah.
though, Michael.
All right, let's take a look. All right, let's see what happened because there was some ugliness to this game. All right, so good, good,
I tried this. You
good.
suggested this, so I tried this.
This the kick.
Yeah.
Now normally you want this stone to be one step closer.
Okay.
So there is a difference between what I suggested and what happened, but
Okay.
I still think this is good though for you.
Okay.
Because white can only go this far, right? If it's white's turn,
Yeah.
this is still inefficient, right? So
Right.
this is still good for you, but it would be much better if the stone was just one step closer.
Yeah. Okay.
Still though, you're in a good place. This is good. This was bad. So you have once again a place to develop here, right?
Yeah.
And when you drop down on him like this, he only
Hmm.
has like 2 ways to go.
Yeah.
This way is bad because you hit him on the head, right? You're in front of him in the
Yeah.
race.
Yeah.
This way is bad because you can kick him and then come out. And so now he's very inefficient, right? You're so
Hmm.
strong here that you could probably kill him. And so you needed to strip away his potential of making a base. You
Hmm.
needed to make your own territory, right? A lot
Hmm.
thicker and nicer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one, which direction is this focused on?
So the right, and I thought I was going to build this immense wall, and wouldn't that be great?
It could, but I think that this is far easier to see the profit on both
Yeah.
sides
Yeah.
than this one, which is usually hard to get the profit in the center. If you get the center, like you did here,
Yeah.
by, I don't know if accident or by purpose, right? But you got the center. This is great. But this early in the game, and with your formations here and your stone here, I think it's
Hmm.
far superior to just strip him of his base and keep
Okay.
the pressure on. This
Okay.
doesn't put pressure on him. Look at how much room he has to run
Yeah.
around and
Yeah.
live now,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So this was a big mistake, I think.
Okay.
So if somebody armpits hits you, you should almost always, you strip him of his base and then attack him relentlessly, right? Like this would feel so good for
Yeah.
black, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'd come out after this, or you can poke at him in here and then make a base down here or something. But anyway, yeah. So this was actually it's much bigger than it looks.
Okay.
Well, what are the rules for handicap games?
Separate them. Keep them small.
And one more thing,
Wait, there's more? Wait.
pressure.
Pressure.
Always
Okay.
keep pressure on them, right? We should always be using our stones to fight. That's the one I use the words for, but I talk about pressure all the time, right? And so
Okay,
we need to keep pressure on. This is no pressure, this is a lot of pressure.
I see.
So that was a big no-no here. You did get this move, which was actually great for you, but it didn't have to go that way for white. But anyway, so now you jumped out, and I don't blame you for this move. I think it's actually a pretty good move. But I wanted to point out this move just because the computer brought it up.
Yeah.
So when you play here, it
I,
is making sure that white can't make a base here.
yeah.
And so it keeps the pressure on this group. And it's also making sure that white can't make a base here as well.
I looked at this and then suppose he goes to the 5-5 point.
So here, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's lots and lots of cutting points here, and you have a lot of advantage in this situation. Um, Even if you didn't play the cutting point, right, and just played something like this, I think you still have there's still cutting points, right? You can see that this is significantly weak. So if you had to protect it, you can now, start beating up on it, right? You can start making sure it can't make two eyes,
Yeah.
even if it plays something like this, right? You're fine.
Okay. Okay.
And so yeah, so even if they cap on you like this is very weak and this is very weak, and you have more strength than you it seems, right? Like even if it just simply went like this would be nice for you, right?
Right.
Um Now, mind you, I might not have seen this move myself. I might have done exactly what you did. So you're playing a lot
Well,
like
I mean,
me anyway.
I thought about it.
Yeah.
I worried about the 5-5 point.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring it up because I did see
Okay.
it with the computer. I didn't see this with my own eyes, I let you know when I see something that like is noticeably bad, and then I let you know when the computer sees
Yeah.
something that it really likes, right? And so when I looked at this move, I was like, oh, this makes sense because it's stripping both these sides of a base.
Yeah.
But this way, white gets a base very easily.
Yes. Yeah.
And so that's painful for black.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, I think this still is a good result for black because white is still far behind, right? This is very small.
Yeah.
And black got this really nice strong thickness, right? It's helping the center and it's
Yep.
helping the side.
Yes.
So even with your supposed inefficient move, right? It's still you still got a very good result here. The problem was, excuse me, uh this was one of the times where, well, let's see. Let's just keep going for a minute. It was this move, I think. Yeah. This was crazy to me that you didn't play here. Like crazy to me. And why does this look so much better than this? What does this move do? Remember we've talked about this?
Well, it separates them, but Michael, now let's look at the room on the other side.
This side?
Yeah, I mean, talk
That's
about
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about the space I'm supposed to make a area with. Doesn't that other one look much better?
So let's bring up the question where I think you'd get right every time. Does A area look bigger or does B area look bigger to make points?
Uh, Now, is A area the whole side, or is it? I mean, how far up do we go?
Up to the corner of the stone
Oh,
here,
well, of
right?
course not. But look at that entire side. It's just empty.
Yeah, but look at this side. This side has developed a strong developable thickness. This side is unearthed, right? It's untilled land. It's very big potential. You are correct. It is. But this side has already you spent, thousand, hundred, like 40,000, $50,000 or $100,000 you spent buying land. You plotted the land, you started building a house on it, a big structure, and then you
Okay.
dumped it. Does that
But
right? You built you literally spent like all this money, right? You did. You spent all this money
so,
building this land, and then you were all like, forget about it. And then
so
and then
show me the aftermath of
yeah,
my
you can see the aftermath, right? White
no,
lived
no,
very
I'm sorry.
easily.
I
Oh,
meant if I go the other way.
okay, yeah, yeah. But do you see what I'm saying though? You spent all
I
these
do. I
moves,
do.
and then
I do.
it got soiled, it got ruined, right?
Yeah.
And so that was the problem. And just like the other game that we talked about, right? You built all this land, right? You spent the 100,000, you bought your plot of land, you even put down a
Yeah.
floor, right? You built
Yeah.
the structure, and then you just let the typhoon hit it, right? And you invited guests, and they ruined
I'm
it.
gonna, I'm gonna push back harder on the other game though, because this has white stone sitting there, right? It's not, I don't think it's the pristine.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, I see your point that there's some stones here, but they're weak. They're weak, right? This doesn't have a base, right? And so this is far weaker. And so we've had this discussion about when somebody jumps in here, right? You
Yeah.
have the option of here or here,
Yes. Yes.
and we
Yes.
play this option if we think we can get this area, right? So if he spends the time to protect himself, well, now we've just gotten everything here.
Okay. All right.
If he
Yeah.
plays for this corner, right? Well, now we have all the strength, right? And
Right.
so this is gonna die, right? If it's not
Yeah.
gonna die, it's gonna be severely attacked, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is gonna end up being profit for us, right? This is gonna be very
Okay. All
profitable.
right. Okay. All right.
So
Now I'll accept it now.
yeah, later on, I think you do the same thing up here where you attack it, right? See, you ended up deciding that, this isn't worth it, so I'm gonna attack this, which was the correct decision, right? Because even with this small little base here, it's still undercut, right? And so
Right.
this
Well,
was the
this I think I could kill or harass.
yeah, this is the correct move here. But it was the same exact question here, and you picked a different answer here, right? So for this one, this would
Maybe
have been
because I
much
didn't
perfect.
think this had worked out that well. So
Yeah, yeah. So, in both games, once again, it's the same problem. So we can really, really make you think about this for your upcoming games, right? And what it is we have to look at what we've done and developed and then make it better, right? Like you can see that you built a very strong thickness here. So this
yep.
is the land you want to till, right? Same with this, right? You built a very strong thickness here, and so this is the land you want to till, this side, right? And in both cases, you don't follow that, and then you lose. Especially in this game, I'll see it time and time again. But it was this decision that helps White live so easily, and
Yep.
now
Yep.
this wall goes to waste, right? If
Yes.
White lives
Okay.
here,
Yep.
then
Yep.
it turns to poop here.
Yep. Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what happened.
Yep.
Now you this could have been a double honey. Always remember when you have lots of room on the
Yeah.
outside,
Yeah.
you it's much
And
better
I
to take the
yeah.
strongest
And
move.
I knew that when I made it. I knew it was wrong the second I pressed the button.
I see. Yeah, I mean, we've discussed this a lot, right? So yeah, your instincts are starting to know more than your finger, right? Your finger just
Yeah.
wants to play, but your brain's like, oh, that's a mistake, which it was, right? This is far better.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was really weird. So once again, and I think it's what you told me, including when you told me this and here and here. You told me that when you have a stone here, you think this is your corner, right? But this is
Uh,
not your corner. Remember, you're on the fourth line. So
yeah. I
always
mean, I don't
remember.
even, but I have no idea what to do here. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I should have, like, I could have hit the stone. I could have gone to 016. I see. I should have pressed it down.
Yeah, you could
Oh,
have gone this way too, but I do like this move the most. Because if white takes the corner, one, you can still separate, right?
yeah.
Two, if I don't know, if he takes the corner this way, this is still a good separation, right? Because look at the
Uh,
territory on this side. Um, And if you didn't mind him connecting, then you could just take the corner either side directly. But I would definitely split for sure. But this
Okay, so
move,
is this the Joseki? I don't even know. Is this a Joseki? Is this
I don't
a thing I
think it
should
is.
know?
I don't think it is. What I don't think it's a Joseki. What I know is the reason I can come up with this move so easily is because I know that this stone isn't built for this area. This stone is literally purposefully played to give up this area so that you can get the outside. That's what
Okay,
this stone is for. Yeah.
okay,
It's literally its whole it's like I said, its purpose is to give its the corner up so that you get outside. That's what its purpose is. So that's how I know not to play something like this, which is trying to take the corner, but the corner is already compromised. Now if this white stone wasn't here, this would be a great move, right? Because clearly you can see that white would just give you a big corner, right?
yeah.
And so this
So
would be
Michael, do
great.
you actually think, I mean, when you're playing the game, do you just know, or do you say it's a, it's a 4 point stone. I'm not supposed to protect the corner. I'll do something else.
Now I know it's just it's been built into me, right? Like I've been playing Go since over 17 years. So it's built into me now, right? But the way it was built into me was by my teachers, right? And my reviews. So you're still early in your Go career, Marty. I mean, you've been playing maybe half a year, almost maybe close to a year, right?
Well, I mean, I played before, but yes, since November, so almost a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, so you've been playing for about a year, and so nothing's built into you just yet, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm sure some things are pre-built, but I don't know how else to put it. But
No,
you
that's
asked
fine.
if I
Yeah,
think I think this out loud or if I just know, right? And I
yeah,
think at the point in my career and my life would go, it's just built into me now. But at some point I didn't know, right? And so I had to
okay,
learn it.
okay, yeah,
But my point is, yeah, we got to remember that this stone isn't for the corner. So
yeah,
making a move like this for the corner is very bad.
okay,
And mainly, like I said, it's only because this stone is already here. If
yeah,
this stone wasn't here, then it would have been a good move. But in this case, corner is already compromised. So it's
yeah,
much better to take the outside. It's just far better to take the outside. So even this move, like you mentioned, would have been better than this
yeah,
move.
yeah,
But yeah, so then the outside is worth more,
yeah,
especially the right side.
yeah,
But by playing something like this, it's giving white the opportunity to make you small. You're
yeah,
under attack and under pressure, and
yeah,
he's able to destroy this area, right? And so
yeah,
once again, you bought the land, you built the structure, you built your floor house on it, and then you let it get destroyed, right?
yeah,
So this
yeah,
happened twice now in this game, and this is
yeah,
where you lose, right? This is the
yeah, yeah,
painfulness.
yeah,
So we can really, really take into account what we learned in this one. We need to
yeah,
always be ever present in our mind what our stones are building and where we want to develop next.
yeah,
So we should know that this is the side we want to develop. So this is the way to do it, right? Even if he compromises it, which he can a bit, he can compromise it quite a long way. But this is, you're still getting something from this. He's getting nearly nothing. And you're
yeah,
getting more. Look at how this is starting to become a big cup,
yeah,
right? This is starting
yeah,
to become
yeah,
more.
yeah,
So whenever you sacrifice one thing, you usually tend to get the other thing, right? When any that's how Go works. It's
yeah,
very Wu Wei. It's very the yin yang symbol, right? Like
yeah,
you give up
yeah.
something to get something. Um, but yeah, so that's the big lesson, Marty, for sure, for sure,
Okay,
for sure.
all right, all right,
Um, there's some other stuff. We only have like 3
yeah,
minutes literally, so I'll
yeah.
just kind of blaze through these. Panuki, you allowed a Panuki here,
Yeah, yeah. This,
and
yes,
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 you would have got sealed here, but then you get this, and then you can play this to protect, and so white dies here.
Yeah.
and you live. So this would have been really good. Remember to try not to give away Panukis. Panukis are worth 30 points. So
Yeah.
when you played this, it just saved white from all its
Yeah.
trouble.
Yeah.
There was some other things here and there, like this was obviously very important to
Oh,
protect.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then once you didn't, it died. And this I wanted to compliment you on. This was a very good decision. The last thing that happened was you tried attacking too directly, though. So this was a direct cut, which allows white to actually kill you, which gives him the two
Yeah.
eyes, right?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So instead, you needed to attack this group on a global scale. So first, we make noise in the east to attack in the west, right? So if you were to play something like this, or here or something, it's a little more subtle, right? And so now you can keep poking at shapes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But you can use this weakness, right, to get just one more stone out, and this will give you more strength on the outside here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so instead of directly trying to go in and use the inside move to kill, you can play very softly, right? Very subtly. Like this, even this would be really good because you can see now that white is just gonna get trapped here
Yeah.
using the elephant's eye. If
Yeah.
white plays here, we always know to use the knight's move for the elephant eye, right? And so that white only has one way to go, which isn't gonna help him, right? It's not gonna help him. So we need to surround before we play inside usually. And this was definitely the case. But instead you played
Yeah.
inside and it was too forceful and then it allowed white to,
Yeah.
kill
Yeah.
you and come out. So
Yeah.
the major issues, we already repeated 100 times, but yeah, the major issue is you need to get a grasp more on the whole board, right? When you
Yeah.
build thickness, your
Yeah.
mind should be on how I should use this thickness.
Yeah.
Same with this game. Right? You built thickness, so your mind should be on I should use this thickness, right? To try and build this area. Use my
Yes.
stones to fight. This was using my stones defensively to build, and then it allowed white to live easily. So this is
Yeah.
breaking my first rule with that I gave you with handicap stones, right? Um, and then the same thing happened here, right? This is where I built my influence. So I should
Yeah.
try and build my points here. So I should be more focused on building
Yeah.
my points here, right? Um, Instead of building the corner, which then allows him to make enough life to ruin this.
Yeah.
All right, Marty. So I'm gonna stop hitting you with the hammer, but
That's okay. I feel slightly chipped.
yeah, but yeah, there's a lot to take in from these games. It's definitely opening up a big weakness that you have, and it's something
Yeah.
we can change and make better, right? And so
Yeah. I
I
mean, that's, I'm trying to get better.